Hey everybody, it's Bust with Bust Builds Decks number 38. And today we'll be taking our 2-star Viego up against the 4-star Quest, the Star Forger, battling Aurelion Soul. And so hopefully with this video and the next one, we can get you a little bit closer to taking down that end-game Viego versus Lysandra quest. Our Viego isn't fully leveled up, so it's kind of nice being at the midpoint here and not just taking a super strong champion on a smash-your-face style of run. And so hopefully you can get a little bit of knowledge out of this one. And so to get you familiar with our Viego, he is at the 2-star rank, so he has that ever important +1 starting mana, and then he has the bonus ability that when an ally with 4+ power dies, reduce the cost of all 4+ power allies in hand by 1. Now, I'm not entirely certain what is bugged about this, if it's the text on the screen or the way it works within the game, but what it actually means is that when an ally with 4+ power dies, reduce the cost of all 5+ power allies in hand by 1. And so where you will very commonly see this is if you have a 4-cost encroaching mist die and you have a Camaveran dragon in your hand, that Camaveran dragon is not going to get the cost reduction unless you do something else to boost its stats. And so don't get confused by that when it happens. It took me a while to figure out what was happening there, but that will be something to make note of, as this mana cheaty kind of thing is going to be a big bonus in terms of Viego's day. The other thing to really call out with Viego is whenever we speak to our Path of Champions decks, you want 3 things, right? You want to be able to scale, which Viego does with this encroaching mist mechanics, not a problem with him whatsoever. You want to be able to have a catch-all removal spell. That's what Shadow Isles is all about. We can easily get that. But the big thing with Viego is going to be the elusive, overwhelm, or rally aspect. With this deck, it is exceptionally easy to have like 4 10-10 encroaching mists and like a 30-30 Viego on the board, and you just can't deal any damage to your opponent because they block all of your units. And so within Viego's kit, if you've managed to get him up to 4 stars, he does just give everything overwhelm. Congratulations, you've unlocked high-powered Viego. We haven't done that yet, so we're going to have to try and look towards that elsewhere. The typical elsewhere would be looking towards the relics. There is a rare relic that when your champion is on board, it gives all of your allies overwhelm. Surprise, like the constellations, I don't have that either. And so we're going to have to really focus in on the overwhelm aspect as we go through the battles, try and find some way to crash in with those encroaching mists. Because while we do typically say elusive, overwhelm, or rally, rallies aren't that great with the encroaching mists because they're just going to die at the end of combat and you don't get to attack twice. And so it's very important to try and pick up that overwhelm aspect somewhere over the course of the games, and that's what we're going to really try and deck build towards, is trying to get those encroaching mists to be effective in some way. But with the Viego that we're bringing today, this is what I would consider to be kind of like a go tall turbo Viego build. We've got the epic Disciple of Shadows attached to our Viego, to where he costs 1 less for every ally in play. This works fantastically with the Slayers style of aspects that come out of these Shadow Isles based decks. If you're not familiar with the Slayers, that's something where you kill your own units to get some kind of bonus effect. A key card within our deck would say be Death's Grasp, where you kill an ally to deal 5 to a unit. This is going to be very thematic over the course of our games, from where we kill an ally, we get the encroaching mist out of the level 1 star power, and then we get some kind of high-powered bonus, like the Death Grasp being a very cost-efficient removal spell. And so with this relic, we're going to look towards things like the Hapless Aristocrat, which was going to maintain a lot of board state to where he dies and comes back with an additional unit. Same thing can be said with the Fading Icon, to where it has the Last Breath bounty board, putting another unit into play when this gets killed off. Very easy to have 2 and 3 and 4 units on the board at the time, to where Big Daddy Abs Viego can get on the board on the cheap and then go forward from there. On top of that, I'm using the Banshee's Veil to give Spell Shield. This is a very Viego-centric style of board, or style of deck, and if we don't have Viego on the board, we are going to struggle to win these games. And so I like to get him on board hot and fast with the Disciple of Shadows, and then use the Banshee's Veil to give him Spell Shield. You could look to just give him Overwhelm. That is a common relic, but I've liked this setup with the knowledge ahead of time that we're really going to focus on giving him Overwhelm within the battle. And so that's it. Let's find old Aurelion Soul down here and see if we can't get to the top of the mountain, you know. You can't. Viego is gonna have to get a coat for this one. Am I right? Gonna have to put those abs away for the winter. Let's say it's fucking cold at the top of Mount Targon. So let's see how it goes. All right, off to the battle, off to the powers. Let's see what turns up here at the start. No crush. What unfortunate. There's no no overwhelms right from the beginning. But I'm fine with treacherous terrain. Each round, the first time the enemy summons a unit, you frostbite it. And so always happy with these defensive style ones. Round start stun, round start frostbite, frostbite the first unit on play. All very good defensive elements that shut down a lot of the high-powered nature of the opposing plays. And so we'll hang on to those rerolls, jump into battle against Caitlyn. She has the round end foes units get +1/+1 bonus. Let's see what we can do. Do a little slaying, do a little encroaching. It's all looking good. And so reasonable enough start. I would normally get rid of these Camaveran dragons, but I'm hoping I could kind of showcase at the very beginning here the bugged nature of that Viego ability. Again, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? When an ally with 4+ power dies, reduce the cost of all 4+ power allies in hand by 1. The Camaveran dragon has 4 power, and so it's a little bit awkward with him, but we'll see if we can't generate some encroaching mists here in the early game, get that power online just so we can showcase what's happening there. But outside of that reasonable enough start, opponent's not really doing anything, and we're going to get to show one of the very common Viego lines within this deck. And so we've got the Shape of Fear in hand. Kill an ally to summon an encroaching mist. I was going to use that to get the Slay onto something. Ideally, it would have been a Last Breath unit, but the opponent killed off one. But we'll look to play the Shape of Fear here. We'll kill off the Hapless Aristocrat. Fuck, come on, dude. I'm just trying to make the plays happen, and Caitlyn's out here being a bitch about it. And so that's not going to happen either, but we can still play our Viego on the cheap and show how we can go forward from there. I was trying to just get a bunch of encroaching mists on the board, but Caitlyn's not being nice, not being friendly. Probably shouldn't call her a bitch. That's not a very nice thing to do. It's 2024, Bust. You're better than that. And so she's being a not nice person. Alright, but our Viego's looking good. He's looking strong out here. I think we can just take the damage from Caitlyn. I don't want to block and just lose our Viego at this point. Would have been nice if we had some of those Last Breath units around so we could just drop a block this turn, but it's not the way the game is going to be. So let's just go ahead and drop the dragon in. I was wanting to showcase some of the Last Breath nature here, but not quite allowed to do it. And so we at least get a strong bank into the next turn. A lot of power with our board. Kill our Viego. Oh shit, how bad is this going to be? I was like, I saw us taking him down to 2 health, and I was like, this is going to be a real danger. Opponent just hit 3 flashbangs, and it was like, all right, we barely got to keep our champion. Let's see how it goes from here. We'll just send in the squad. We're going to have to Death Grasp whatever Caitlyn blocks. I guess we don't have to. It's only 3 damage, but I was like a little bit worried about what she's going to be able to achieve here, because we're not going to be strong enough just to kill this stuff. So let's do this. I'm just going to go ahead and Death Grasp out the Viego. We're not going to see enough dead units on the turn for him to really pop off. And this will let us... Oh, we're losing our unit? Shit. Everything's just going poorly here. Not my finest moment. Alright, we'll just crank a bit of damage onto Caitlyn, I guess. Not really interested in stealing any of these units, doing the possession to try and get a kill that way, and so we'll just jam a bunch of damage on Caitlyn and hope for the best. But the invasive Hydrovine's going to be ready to come online soon. So brutal seeing all these damages come in. Oh my god, so many flash bombs.
Scoping the area.
Okay, well at least we can get the Caitlyn off of the board now. Ideally we'll have enough units on the next turn. Oh my god, he's killing our Hydrovine? just have all the answers all the time. Let's get salty out here. That's what we need to do. Everything about this is just starting off wrong. Cool, another Caitlyn. Why not? We can look to... He has a challenger unit out here in the Veteran Investigator. We can look to potentially just hook this Caitlyn out of combat and then hopefully get to finally punch in these last couple points of damage. The Chief Mechanist Zevi is a very expensive champion, so he shouldn't have any more plays for the turn. I think we'll get to finish off this slop fest here and still be okay. We'll send Caitlyn way down to the end, so her strike shouldn't matter. We shouldn't take any additional damage here. We'll jump into the next battle. And so, what a worthless game, am I right? We made some offensive comments towards the opposing champion, didn't get to showcase any of the cool abilities within the deck, and now we're going to skip through like the next 3 battles. And so I'm glad you tuned in. Glad to be a part of your day. Let's see if we can improve from here. So what is this? Eye of the Watchers? I mean, I don't really want Godwillow Seedlings, but when I'm summoned or destroyed, summon a follower. Oh, okay. I've used that before with a different video, and so not really interested. I guess we'll pick up the Blighted Caretaker. I like it that it has like the Slay ability tied into it, but we tend to run into board space issues with this style of deck, and just getting these saplings stuck on the board is kind of meh. But I don't think these are bad enough to just cycle away from, so we'll still hold on to it here. So moving forward, up into the support champion. Let's see if we got somebody cool here, somebody useful. Not yet. I'm ready to spend a bit of rolls here. We need a bit of assistance for our Viego, and so don't want Aurelion Soul. Our top end is just good enough. Ziggs is not on theme. Same with the Poros down here. Let's just take a roll, see if we can't get something more in tune with what we're trying to do. And again, not really. Irelia isn't doing the kind of combating we're doing. Soraka is just garbage, and Twisted Fate could work. Twisted Fate's just an all-around fantastic champion, great utility and everything, but it's not on point with the Slayers thing that we're trying to do. The way that he gets kind of interesting is he does do some kind of like card draw stuff, and we can tie into that if we get any of the reduced cost when you draw card type of abilities, but that's a bit of stretch at this point in the run. But we would have Pull Shark, Twisted Fate, and then also have the Encroaching Mist spell that draws a card, whatever it's called. And so, it's tough. Old Steve is a pretty powerful ally for us. Maybe we'll just go ahead and pick him up. But man, it's not fixing any of our like overwhelm problems, right? It's just like, well, we could play a gold card as kind of a bad removal spell for a turn. I guess we're not going to solve our overwhelm problems with any of these champions, though, right? It's not like there's a champion that just grants all of your other units overwhelm, but I guess it does lead us into Bilgewater. Let's stay away from Bilgewater, right? Here we go. Just no champions solve your overwhelm problems. Udyr comes in to say, "Fuck you, buddy. I got this covered. I know how to do this from day one." And so, fantastic looking Udyr here, and it's very interesting with him starting with the Shadow Totem to where when he's summoned, he summons the copy, and so he's going to make a stance swap and then immediately make that stance swap free. And so, yeah, I'm on board with our old bear boy Udyr here. That looks very good. Glad we got to snatch that up. So moving forward, we could either head to a shop, head to a Scribe of Sorrows, lets us spend health for bad relics, or we could go towards the item chest. And I think I want to go up to the shop and then just like try and maximize our chances of finding the relics that pass out Overwhelm. Okay, so victory unlocked. What do we think of these? It's like I'm kind of okay with the overwhelmness that we get from the Udyr package, but I'd like to find more, and so I don't really want to have to burn rerolls on this stuff just to try and get like overwhelm on a single card. I want to save it for a relic, and so out of these things, like I think we can just keep the Fading Memories. It is an interesting card in the sense that it's a very good copy for Encroaching Mist, just giving you kind of a nice scaling bonus while you get to attach it to a big unit. And so I think I would lean more towards the Fading Memories as opposed to the Elixir of Iron, and was not really interested in Soul Shepherd. And so let's snatch that one up, get those chimes running through the deck, hit up the shop now. Anything interesting in here? Big Boy Fury of the North with the doubling dice on it. And then Inner Beast is a spell I do enjoy, but the combat tricks tend to be a little bit weaker in here. And so how ham do we want to go on these powers? Allies having +1 attack is quite good in this deck. It gives you kind of double scaling on all of your Encroaching Mists. And so I'm leaning towards this, and without rolling. It's going to let us level up our Viegos very quickly. And then I think I'll pass on the Inner Beast. It does give us an additional angle to overwhelm, but I don't want to like super stack in on the Udyr package without having a bunch of ways to cheapen up the cards. And so the stance swaps aren't that great unless we're playing them for free. And so I'm not amped about just picking up a combat trick. And so we'll pass on the rest of this stuff, I believe. And so moving forward, looks like we got a Poppy, and then we'll head into a epic champion item kit before we go to the Miniboss and Gangplank. Okay, dropped a game to Poppy. That was a bit annoying, but I think we'll be hopefully okay on from here, as long as RN Jesus doesn't give us any big negative blessings. And so it's an interesting pack. Like, we do still need to get a good removal spell, right? As the games progress and as we're facing down like 2020 Poppies, the Grasp of Darkness just falls short of taking down the big units. And the Shadow Isles Tellstone does fix some of that, right? It puts the opportunity to... the opportunity to have Crumble into our deck, but I'm kind of wondering to myself, what happens if we just make a super awesome Shaman's Call? And I can definitely see that be a thing, as to where we're definitely needing a way to put Overwhelm onto our big units when we've been doing that with stance swaps, and so maybe that'll be a thing. I'm going to go for it because I know how to have fun and I love Udyr so much, and so we'll see if that pays off here at the end of the day. And so moving into the champion item chest, another interesting space in that I want to be stacking in all the copies of Viego into our deck, but the best option we have here is by far the Nomad's Medallion with the -2 cost, and I don't really want to put that on Viego. He's going to be pretty close to free as it is, and so I think we're going to take this as an opportunity just to stack in a little bit more Udyr, and then we'll look to focus the rest of the chests out there onto Viego just to get more copies of him into our deck. So now, going to head into the shop. Do we got a good power? It's pretty meh. I don't really like easy prey within this deck since we tend to put bad units down early, right? We put a sacrificial unit down first and then we just kill it off and lose that on the husks. And so let's take a reroll. Emperor's Diaz, not super interested in. Having it take up that space on our board is a real detriment. And here's the opportunity for you all to hear us say it. The Emperor's Diaz in our Viego deck. You're welcome. Glad to lay that one on you. And then the last but not least, I'm going to take a relic, and so the Enfeebling Strike will have to be fine. When you damage an enemy, reduce the power by damage dealt. In terms of these other cards, I don't think we really want any of this. The fleeting onto Shaman's Call is kind of scary, so I'm going to lean away from that. The one that is kind of interesting is Iceborne Legacy. You can Iceborne Legacy onto an Encroaching Mist and have them be bigger for the remainder of the battle, but if we're going to be real, they don't have any real trouble scaling, and so I think we'll end up skipping over all of these. Black Cleaver, Mammoth Shaman, I'm sorry for your big attacks not happening today, but yeah, let's move on from this set. And so up to battle against Gangplank. He's got the growth at the end of the turn. Let's see if we can't get a takedown here. He's still at 15 health on this thing, right? Yeah, I forget which of these champions change around in terms of scaling, like Darius looking for half of the opposing health and stuff. Oh boy, the Shaman's Calls are here to party today. Let's see what we got. Nothing on turn one. Oh, bummer. Bummer. I think we'll still be okay. This is a very kind of recoverable matchup, but I really don't like it when we don't have anything to do on the first turn or so. We're stuck playing the Camaveran Soldier now, right? We can't just go into next turn without spending any of this mana, and so I hope these Shaman's Calls really decide to pay off, because we got a fuckload of them at this point. Oh boy, just cards we can't play. That's what you love to see. All right, well, Shaman's Call it is. I guess we'll try and make ourselves a good unit out here. We'll go ahead and put the Regenerate stance, and we'll put... oh my god, are you kidding me? The Make It Rain just kills off our Camaveran Soldier? Oh my god. Okay. This is just like the last fucking game, to where I had to try and micromanage everything around our units getting knocked out by the Heroic Strike, and... Jesus fuck. Okay. Well, at least we can play Viego this turn, right? We're not dead to an open, so that's a perk, I guess. Oh my god. Just gonna get savaged. He does at least have Spell Shield, and so we can get as greedy as possible on the block here, leave Viego at 1. He'll do a bit of growth on his own as these invasive Hydrovitans come onto the board, but the game's trying its hardest just to fucking ruin my day. Alright, well, we can't quite tussle with Gangplank just yet. I mean, well, yeah, we probably don't want to get involved with that. He does have Challengers, so we can just hook in our units next turn, but I think this is a reasonable place to stop. And we do have these surprise Shaman's Calls if we need to, and we'll get a blocker out of the Hydrovine. If we get to play another Hydrovine next turn, then hopefully we'll be good to go. So how bad is this? It looks pretty bad.
You cannot stop me.
So the couple of options that we have, I think we're gonna have to Death Grasp away our Viego, right? We can gain 5, but that's not enough to get us out of this mess. Are we just dead? What do we have? 8 mana, so it's like we can gain 5. That's what it's gonna have to be. We should be at 1 after this, right? So we'll gain 5 off the Shaman's Call. Can't use it because all of our units are gonna be fucking dead. And then we can Death Grasp Viego. The Death Grasp is going to do 6. Okay, I don't think we have a better block out here. We're just gonna die to the knock him down. Oh my god. What a fucking bunch of nonsense. Maybe he'll do something dumb. Well, we're riding hard on that. Maybe he'll do something dumb phase, because it's getting there so far. He just had the lethal and didn't play it, so we at least got that going for us. Now, can we do anything with these encroaching mists? Like, maybe we can get 1 unit up and running. Maybe we can get him to do something weird again. We do still have the gain 5 in the Shaman's Call, so and getting to come out here and block some stuff for no reason. We probably need this to go more right than this is. Let's do this. Let's back this up for a minute. Let's go ahead and Shaman's Call. I'm going to put the Overwhelm onto our Hydravine. And then we'll also just go with the Boar stance. And then that at least puts it to where he has to block at least one of these encroaching mists. I still don't feel like this is enough to get ourselves out of this game, but who knows? He did a bunch of dumb shit last turn. Maybe he'll do dumb shit this turn as well. Alright, so it takes 2 units off of the board. Clears out the powder kegs. That's always nice. His Gangplank's gonna flip, I guess. Maybe that's a bummer. Oh no, he's gonna get the Dreadway. That's what happens, right? We do potentially have these possessions to come in and snatch up a Dreadway if that's what the game really brings forth. What do we got? Right, Blighted Caretaker should give us enough blockers for the turn. But we probably can't let him just Dreadway Gangplank into whatever it is we're doing. So I think the possession is probably going to be a requirement. Oh, and he's just giving up on the turn? Okay. Alright, we might be okay here now. What a fucking nonsense game. So we'll possession onto the Dreadway so we get to do double damage. Don't want to Blighted Caretaker though. Our Chimeveran Dragon has Overwhelm. That's another decent target. It's going to deal 6 because of the Dreadway. That's fine. Oh my god. Oh, he doesn't have the Plunder. Okay, okay. Maybe we've got it. Maybe we're here. Got him by 1. Jesus fuck. I was ready to top right that one. I was so close to just conceding that out. It's like, is it 2? And he had the line them up for the lethal, and he was just like, yeah, fuck it. I'll skip on that. Not today, Bust. You get to continue on this run. Jesus. Just getting salty out here. Okay, let's make things better. Some way, somehow. Alright, Viego with Scout. I can get behind that being useful. Moving on to the powers. The powers that be. What do you got for us? Round start, stun the strongest enemy. That's fine. I'm not certain what happens with 2 treacherous terrains. If you get to stun both, or the frostbite the first 2, but the hold it is so strong against these Aurelion Soul rounds as to where you can imagine how these games should sequence in large part is to where the opponent plays their champion, it gets double stats because of Aurelion Soul, but then we frostbite it because it's the first unit that they played, so they have like a 0-24 unit on the board, and then the next turn that unit gets its stats back, goes up to 24-24, but then just gets stunned by the hold it. And so a nice little collection of powers that we have for this specific battle. Now, moving forward, I would prefer to fight Karma. We can do very well with the 10 mana gems. A lot of our deck is very expensive, but there's a champion item chest up north that we'll get from the Fiora. So we're going to fight Fiora just to continue on with these champion item chests and see if we can't get more stacks of Viego in our deck. Battle 1. I don't know if you got to see the gameplay there, but exactly what we wanted to happen with our powers happened. He played Fiora, she got frostbitten, and then the next turn she got immediately stunned, and so I like what's happening with the powers there. Also to that end, if you're a daily follower still listening at this portion, let me know what you think of the kind of skip speed through the videos where we don't show all of the battles and fast forward through some of them. 8x feels a little bit fast, and 4x is better, but it makes the videos longer. And so I'm going to push forward a little bit with 4x. Let me know what you think there. But moving on, I'm trying to think of how Passage Unearned works against Aurelion Soul. If he's just out here summoning these rando champions, that doesn't count as playing them. If we can just remove them with Passage Unearned. This is like a card that definitely has potential to just do fuck all. And so I'm a little bit worried about putting it into our deck, but these other cards are kind of garbagey as well. Like Alpha Wildclaw is kind of on theme. It's an expensive unit we can cost reduce, but we haven't been doing too much of the cost reduction angle this round. And so like it's probably the viable take, but like I'm wanting to pick up Passage Unearned, but I feel like we're just going to add it and cut it. And so let's add the Alpha Wildclaw, move up to this champion item chest. And what do we got here? Either 3/3 or elusive. This elusive scout in Viego, not the way he typically does battle, but it's going to be more than fine here. So now moving on, we've got Jen into a shop. Let's see how it goes. Right, took that one down. Man, this is getting so many of these games that have like triple Shaman's Call in it. It's just really clogging up our hand. Nonetheless, let's see how we can move forward here. I really typically want more Camaveran soldiers. Like I'm trying to convince myself that I don't want them because we're playing Udyr on turn 3, but those games where we don't have Udyr, the Camaveran soldiers really shine, and so I think he'll be okay. The Hapless Aristocrat is nice and cheap and sacrificey, but the double attack on that soldier is quite strong. Moving into the shop, let's check the powers real quick. No rerolls, but fast deal for free. Not free, I guess, but fast deal is a decent one to pick up. And now we finally get to pick up a decent removal spell with this Omen Hawk with the capture attached to it. I think I'm fine with that. The Legion of the Severed is also kind of interesting. Maybe we do want this Legion of the Severed. It's a turn too slow, but when you have that Shadow Totem that summons the ephemeral copy of the champion, if we're putting ephemeral or deathless onto Udyr and just getting additional copies of Udyr, it's such a big deal. And so let's pick that one up. I think we're happy to add it in. I'm going to add these Omen Hawks in as well. We need cheaper units and stuff, so that's okay. The last one to call out is Blade-Bound Berserker down here. I'm not going to pick it up. I think our deck is strong enough with it, but this is definitely a super powerful card when you're using all of the stance swaps, since it'll copy the stance swaps onto itself. And so something to keep in mind, but we just picked up a bunch of units within our deck. I don't want to clog it up with more engine-y style of units. And so moving forward, I don't want to go to the shop because we don't have any money left, so we'll go through Victor, we'll head down to the spells chest, and then we'll get the nice mirror match up against Viego. Right, into the next one. Oh boy, more possessions. Said no one ever. And so I'm leaning towards just the Babbling Bjerg here. It's decent card draw, I guess. It should pick up a Hydrovine, or I guess we clogged our deck with Alpha Wow Claws and stuff. But, you know, it's a nice little piece of card draw here. I'd like to just cut the possession out of our deck, and so not really interested in hanging on to it the rest of the way. With the spells chest, kind of interesting. I know we've passed up on all of those, like make your champion an 8/8 things. Those might be on summon though, but I see the Sigil of the Storm attached to the Shadow Isles Tellstone, but I think I'm going to skip that. I'll skip over all of these. The Iceborne Legacy is a little too memey. The Tellstones I just don't think we need at this point. We got our Omen Hawk, and then the Ruination, not super interested in. And so, into the healer. Let's cut a card. Gonna be that possession, although I am getting really tired of drawing all these Shaman's Calls. We got to get an upgrade onto the Shaman's Call to make it feel a little bit more worthwhile. So, onward and upward, up against the mana-flowed Viego. See whose abs glisten the most at the end of the day here. All right, I don't think we want to hang on to Omen Hawk. It's actually a little awkward in our deck in the sense that, you know, you typically want to play Omen Hawk on the first turn, but there's nothing to capture, and then we're going to play these Viegos that just kill all of the units on board, and so it's a touch awkward with the Omen Hawk here today, but we'll make the most of it. It'll be fine. It's a good problem to have, I think. So we'll just go ahead and get it on board. I'm going to look to circle around to our turn 3 and getting this Viego going, and so I'm going to try and add the Camaveran Soldier this turn, and then next turn do a Shape of Fear into Viego. I think this will all work out with Udyr as well. We should get some cost reduction on him. Maybe I think our Encroaching Mists might be too small at that point, but something to potentially put on the old planner. Can we go big with that? Hang on. What if we do this? What if we Shape of Fear something like the Omen Hawk? And then as the next turn rolls around, we Shape of Fear the Camaveran Soldier. I should have done the mathematics on how much stats we're going to have on board at this point, but as these 4-cost guys die, it should cheapen up the cost of the units in our hand, right? There we go. That's where the magic happens. That's where the good stuff is. And so let's just pop off now, right? We're going to get this double Udyr on board. Oop. And we can play Viego for free. Oh, you've got your own Viego. No one is worried. No one is worried about that whatsoever. Alright, so we'll get ours on board. We're very close to just lethaling. So there comes the encroaching mists. Viego, I don't think he's going to be able to get up to 15. Where's he at? He's going to be 1 short when we go and put the stance swap onto him. Nope, he's good. He can do it on his own. That's all we need. Turns out he's got Scout and Elusive. So let's send him on into combat. We'll get another attack in, don't worry. We'll send in the team before the battles are all done here, but not a bad little pop-off, huh? Not bad at all. Rip. I don't even know what he did that game. Just having so much fun doing our own awesome stuff, and so go me, go us, go squad. That flipped Viego in there. Yeah. Angry Renekton, get out of here. Your emote game is not on point.
Without her, there is only darkness.
Okay, GG. What are we adding here? Yeah, the Titanify was what I was talking about if we wanted to pick up some of those Titan-based cards. But Udyr with the Deathless, this is just like such an awesome combo. We don't even need that, we don't even need the Deathless unit anymore. We just get it straight onto Udyr. Now, I've done some of this Deathless ephemeral stuff. It seems to be fixed. I remember a few patches ago, Deathless seemed to be completely bugged in Path of Champions. I think that they've since fixed it. It's been working. At least in my recent experiences here. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up, see if we can't get some more sweet Udyr combos. And Trifarian Might is an interesting one. I'm not entirely certain how I feel about Trifarian Might, in the sense that whenever you say summon a 7/7 Encroaching Mist, it's going to get the strike off the Trifarian Might, and it's just going to be dead at that point. And so what I think is interesting with it, perhaps, is in our build, to where we've never managed to get Overwhelm onto our ephemerals, then maybe it's okay. Like, I'm kind of flip-flopping on it in the sense that I know there's certainly some rounds to where we're just trying to get ephemerals on the board to block, right? And those matchups against, say, like Gangplank, to where we were trying to just get blockers on board. Having the unit summon and strike a unit and not kill it is pretty detrimental, and also striking the weakest unit when we're just trying to survive is pretty bad. But on the flip side of the coin, we do run into a lot of these games to where we're just running out of space on our board, and I think that this is where the power in the Trifarian Might is going to hit, when you start to think to that Udyr that we've really been popping off with. Now that Udyr has Deathless and he summons the copy, we should summon 2 Udyrs. They both strike. The Deathless copy is then, or the ephemeral copy is then going to die Deathless back, and then strike something again as it hits board. And we're just going to get a big combo hit like that. And I think that that's going to be enough to be sweet. It's not going to stance swap how we want, but it's going to be pretty cool from that point forward, I think. And so moving on, this will be the last time you hear my voice before we get to Aurelion Soul. I think we want to go to the shop and pick up the Epic Relic. As far as cutting cards go, like, we do have a lot of just garbage in here, but the Epic Relics tend to be so good. Right? I mean, as we look at this deck, there's stuff like Blighted Caretaker I don't want, Legion of the Severed we don't really need anymore, Battling Bjerg we don't want, Camaveran Dragon we don't want. Like, our deck is not very well tuned, but I think the high-powered Epic, oh man, we also just don't have any rerolls. Are we 4-stacked on anything we can cut? No, just like Camaveran Soldier is a 4, Omen Hawk is a 3, but I'm happy with Omen Hawk. Alright, well, I'll just go take the Epic Relic, I guess. I'm not amped about it, though. I really would prefer to be cutting cards at this point.
Ready for
All right,
trouble.
Katarina time. Right. If you fast forwarded your way to here, I highly recommend you scroll backwards a little bit and watch some of those Udyr shenanigans we just got to do. Hopefully, we get to do some of that cool stuff up here against Aurelion Soul. But before we get there, let's get this final copy of Viego, give my supported ally 1/1 and my keywords this round. One of the important things to note with this support bonus is it doesn't work with Scout. So it makes sense. We were like, oh, cool, I'm going to support this unit, get it Scout. We can make a Scout attack and everything's going to be fine with the secondary attack token. Not how it works. It counts as all of your units attacking. They see that it's a non-Scout attack and then the support happens after the fact. And so be mindful of that. I've made that mistake many a times. Let's jump on in up against the duplicate Aurelion Soul. See if we can't duplicate some Udyrs while we're out here. He's got duplicate. We've got duplicate. Let's see how it goes. And so I'm just going to take this hard mulligan for Udyr. I think it's strong enough to just go for it. And if it doesn't come together, oh, Jesus, fuck. I was going to say, if it doesn't come together, we're typically strong enough to where I'm not completely worried about it, in the sense that, you know, we have some early game stuff and we can kind of fight through whatever the opponent's doing. I wasn't really counting on immediately hitting 3 Alpha Wild Claws as I was about to make that statement, and so I think hopefully we'll be okay here. You'll get to see what this Udyr is capable of doing now. It's going to be a very powerful turn. Glad to see the opponent drop a bunch of nonsense cards that aren't going to do anything, and so we do have to worry about these armored stompers, I guess. He's going to play at least one, right? They are, like, large size, so we can't just take them down with stance swaps either. Let's just pass. I'm going to say, if we get an overbank this round, I think it's okay. Let's pass again. He's going to play the other one. Now we can play Udyr and start striking stuff. I think this will be okay. He's not going to kill us on this attack anyways, so we have a bit of time before that's going to be relevant. Oh, cool! We just kill his whole board and have infinite Udyrs out here. I guess that's what happens. on this space. Also very interesting to see those ephemeral Udyrs dying and then reducing the cost of our Alpha Wild Claws. I really appreciate the things y'all are doing for us. Oh, what a bunch of nonsense. Okay, Udyr's there. Now this ephemeral Udyr is going to die. Bring back some more copies of Udyr out here. If this Jarvan still survives, he should be stunned at the beginning of the next round. What are we at? We've got 42 damage on board. Can't quite flip an Udyr. We can only play one, right? We can only play one stance. Well, let's get to combat, I guess. We're just going to lose one of these. I don't want to give him the opportunity to just put a giant unit on the board. So it's like, I think we'll make this attack. He's going to get into battle with one and take it off of the board. And then I like to think, if he follows up with a giant unit or something, we still have the Omen Hawk at home to potentially get the finish. So a bit of a waste, but I think we'll still have plenty of time to activate these stances. Interesting with that silence. I didn't expect it to happen like that. One of the things I've been doing is just putting these stances on the smaller ones, so they at least have a couple of points of health. But now that he's silenced these Udyrs, they're going back to 1 health. I was curious if they were going to fall back down or not. This could be bad. The unstoppable force. Let's see, a little worried about the Aurelion Souls and his ability to unstoppable force. So we can trigger Deathless off of one of our Udyrs here. Come out and get some more strikes in this space, wear out his board a little bit maybe. So this encroaching mist is getting in the way. Please, we killed an Aurelion Soul, that's something, right? That's something. There's the unstoppable force. Now we can Omen Hawk and get the remaining Aurelion Soul off of the board. We're out of Deathless. I was going to say, I was looking at these Udyrs and I was like, we can just kill all of our Udyrs, right? We could look to just use the Ram Stance, the 1 damage to everything, and kill off all of our Udyrs and then resummon all of them, but I don't think that's quite on the table. Alright, everybody get your flips. This certainly seems like a time for a Shaman's Call. Deliver some more bonus stats to everybody on the team. This has been sweet. This has been one of my favorite games in a long time. You don't get to do this awesomeness in just the space of Constructed. This is what the dream is all about out here, playing the Path of Champions. And so, look at that. Look at that bear boy go. It's been a fun round, a fun game. Hopefully we don't just get stunned out of this. I just automatically assumed that we won the game, but maybe we need to worry about it for just a hot second. Nope. You can't just end a game like that with a stun. And so good stuff. Nice finish, nice flourish. Everything happening there at the end. It's fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that final game there. Get to share it with your buddies and stuff. Look at this sweet ass stuff that Bust is doing, you know? And so, not a bad battle. I feel like we had a good idea as to what we wanted to do with Viego, and we made a real attempt to survive things in the space to where everybody doesn't just have overwhelm. And I like how our strategy went with it. I know we kind of deviated from some of the plans once we got that nonsense level Udyr going, but you can at least get a picture of what we're trying to do in the sense of you have to get Viego on board and really use him to hard carry, because in the sense, if you don't have your infinite combo Udyrs up and running, he's going to be your main key to victory. And so that's the idea with the Shadow Flare along with the Banshee's Veil. It lets us get our Viego down on board quickly and then have him protected just a little bit, and then we'll use the deck building to figure out how we're going to hit that overwhelm piece. And we actually hit Scout Elusive on Viego. We hit Overwhelms with the stance swaps. I think that's a great way to really picture a successful deck with Viego. And so, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So, if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way, and you had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.